How in the Johnny Johnson do you use debate to make better argumentative writers? How do you make debates productive? How do you get all students involved, both shy and outspoken, without having some want to kill others? How can debates actually make a classroom a more cohesive community? And how does the Common Core tie into all these things? Well, that's a lot of questions, and I'll probably fail at answering most of them. But the point of this video is to show you how to do debates in my classroom and give you ideas that will hopefully spring you into having debates happen in your class in an effective manner. There are few things more crucial for a good debate than an awesome question. Also, the teams who tend to win debates are those who stay focused right here. So put some thought into that. For today's debate, I had students think about this question: should U.S. gun control laws be made more strict? To help them prepare, I had their article of the week this week deal with a recent shooting and also give them some background on Sikhism, which helped with my world history content, and with some proposals for how gun control could change in our country. They were also asked in advance to reflect on this topic, and you can see that Kaylee did an excellent job at that. Nice job, Kaylee. After my students come in the classroom on the day of this debate, I give them the task of brainstorming in 3 minutes as many reasons as possible to the affirmative, yes, laws should be made more strict, and as many reasons as possible to the negative, no, they shouldn't. I really push them hard to use this entire time to brainstorm as many ideas as they can, because that's going to help them when they get into teams. Once students have had that brainstorming time, I ask them to show their hands based on which side they more naturally lean towards. So whoever is affirmative, raise your hand. I take a head count. If I know that number is quite far away from half, then eventually I'm going to have to ask some brave debaters to switch sides. I try to stress to my students again and again and again to the point where they roll their eyes when I say it, that a good debater can debate both sides. And this usually is a very easy, quick process, and we have two equally numbered teams, roughly. My goal during the initial planning phase of a debate is for my newly formed groups to get all their ideas out on the table. An effective way that groups often do this is they form a circle and they take turns sharing maybe their best point or their favorite point. And the smart groups will have someone writing these down and beginning to organize their statements into either the opening or the rebuttal or the conclusion stages. After 5 minutes have passed, I'll ask my groups to now start to think of where they want to have each person speak. In my debates, everyone must speak at least once, and they'll be graded based on whatever I'm focusing on that day. But people may speak more than once, so strong debaters can argue multiple times. More shy students just need to argue once. Unfortunately, it's kind of difficult to hear Austin give his opening speech. The purpose of an opening speech is to lay out your team's arguments. It could be viewed as the equivalent of an introduction in an argumentative essay. The idea here is to build a context for what you're talking about, and I try to stress to students, do not be afraid to revisit your point and make your argument very, very clear. It's early in the school year. This is the second debate that we've had, and so I really want to just stress the basic keys of argumentation. You need to make a claim. You need to be clear about that claim. You need to differentiate your claim from similar claims. You need to differentiate your claim in terms of its superiority to your opposition. You need to be respectful, etc. But today, I'm actually just grading students on the volume of their voice. But in other times, I'll be grading them, do they make a clear claim? Do they respectfully address their opposition? Do they analyze the opposition's argument and point out its weaknesses? So there's a lot of ways you can grade this, and you can connect it to what you want them to be doing in their argumentative writing.
Okay. Like Mr. Stewart said last time, using your own personal experiences is just like, does that overrule the whole entire argument? That's just one little thing over the whole Guns can also use
Stephanie just did something really cool. She just analyzed the type of evidence that a team just used. In this case, it was anecdotal evidence, and she pointed out its weaknesses. She also did it in a respectful manner. So whenever I have a speech in which students do something that is exemplary like this, at the end of the speech, I'll be sure to stop, point out what worked, and sometimes what didn't. It's key in our classroom that as we debate, we are all learning together. And so we can analyze what someone does, and how Stephanie just basically analyzed and picked apart another young lady's argument. It was done in a fashion where nobody is threatened, we're all fine. We're becoming better arguers together.
So now with this, with the race, the statistics added on to why you'd rather have guns. So you would rather have someone have a gun and be able to murder someone very
Two things. First, notice how Eric responded to what the previous team said. This is the rebuttal round, and that's exactly what we want to see. A lot of discussion between teams as evidence is played around with, and we get to determine which side does that evidence really help. Second, notice that Marcus has a piece of paper in his hand. I encourage all my students to write down what they're going to say. Write down when somebody on the other team says something, write it down. Figure out a response to it. This is one additional way that these debates can have a higher quality. And I usually give students up to a minute in between rounds to collect their thoughts and collaborate if need be.
Think about when Aaron said about anything made into a weapon. Well, how do you put restrictions on everything? Water, mouse made of water, you can cook a steak knife, you can't kill somebody with that, restriction on knives.
This is the concluding speech in today's debate. It will be the last speech given today. Today's debate format was simple. We had an opening round, 2 rebuttal rounds, and a conclusion round. In future videos, I may give other formats of debates, but the point, I guess, for today is to really help you to see how easy a debate can be and how enjoyable. Students really get a lot out of this, and it really helps them to write arguments that are a little more natural than a lot of the arguments that I've seen or taught in the past. So if you've got any questions or any critiques or any encouragement, please include that in the comments section. Also, might not be a bad idea for you to subscribe to this wonderful YouTube channel, or to jump over to teachingthecore.com, play around on the website there, and perhaps subscribe to the RSS feed, the links for which you'll find at the end of each post and at the top of the screen. Thanks a lot. I'm Dave Stewart, and you are awesome.